It's really rural.
We're way up in the mountains now, and surprisingly they're really doing work on the road. But such a variety of different houses, some incredibly poor and some surprisingly wealthy. Beth's answer to this always is the wife is a teacher and the husband is an OFW, a seaman usually. Wow, wish we had a road like this up to our house.
And no signal. Life would be better. But it's better. It just happened that we're having a hard time, especially when it's raining. And because it's in the mountainside, so people usually motorcycle is, there's no tricycle. Then its only way is straight. No.
I know that there's a great big bus coming.
I know. Is that wow? There's a bus here. Where did it came from? Amazing! There's a bus from the mountain. You can't believe it.
So a little bit concerned. We don't know anything about the circumstances, the home situation of this man, who, for obvious reasons, we're thinking of him as the Elephant Man, because like the famous John Merrick case, who was called the original Elephant Man in England at a time when they still had freak shows and people who were extremely disabled would eke out a living, as Merrick did for a while, showing themselves off. Pretty degrading. The original Elephant Man spent, I think, 5 or 6 years in the workhouse, and then he left. Not a wonderful existence. And this man that we're going to see now, he's actually, I think, 75. I didn't know that until a few minutes ago when we were having breakfast with Ronald. I don't know how Ronald finds these cases, but he finds things for us to help with, and this is no different. So we're going up now. Whether this man can be helped or not is not for us to decide. We're going to try, because it's such a heartbreaking, pitiful case. But at least unlike Merrick, this man is supported, he lives with his family, and I don't know how long this affliction has taken to reach the stage that it's at now, but he's supported by a family and he lives in the family home. My thought when I saw him was that if we could just make life more comfortable with him, that would be acceptable to me. At his age, I wonder exactly what can be done with him. We have another similar case where there is nothing that can be done, and that's with that little boy, Jeremy. His body has not progressed. He's 15 years old. He's a wonderful child, incredibly courageous, which is a commonality among these children, especially, that they are extremely brave. We did have, but lost, baby Faith, who had the hydroencephalus, swelling of the head with too much fluid, and sadly she died. But we also have baby Jane, and baby Jane suffers from well, let's just call it the layman's term, which is brittle bone disease, and it means that her bones break extremely easily. We've taken her to hospital 3 times for broken bones. The family have given up trying to go for a cure. They just go for making life as comfortable as possible. But the last time that baby Jane had an injury, it was badly to one leg, and she actually dislocated her hip. Her leg right at the joint is how it looks. They didn't do anything about it because they don't have the money, but they didn't call us, so we couldn't go there and have the fractures healed, set. So the bones were not set. They are in the terrible position that they're in now. But she's still a brave kid. She still gets around. She has a stick. I had a special pair of crutches made for her, but she wasn't happy with that because of the swelling on the hip, or the swollen part where the hip is dislocated. The crutch was rubbing up against that, and she said it was too painful. So she still has that one stick, and she gets around. So we couldn't help her. Jodell was the little boy that was, I think he was injured in some way at birth, and nothing has been done. Our partnership with the Taliban police brought Jodell to our notice, and we went round there to try and help. What happened was we ended up building the family a new house. The house was in terrible shape. Actually, it's his grandmother that takes care of him, as is so many times the case. What happens here, I know it's not on the subject, but what happens here is that if a family breaks up and the father ends up as a single parent and the mother ends up as a single parent, there are other single parent fathers and other single parent mothers, and they meet and they have new partners. What happens is that the new families, both the mother is a single parent and the father a single parent, and they get together, form a new family, and sometimes some of the children just don't fit in, and so they get kind of pushed out, abandoned, and it's usually the grandparents that step in, step up and take care of the children. So we're climbing higher and higher, and the road is still being worked on, amazingly. When we think of our road and we can't get any work like this done in our community, we are off to one side of the road, and the barangays are further up. Now look at this now. This is incredible. We're way up in the mountains now. So they're making this into quite a wide road, and it's being serviced by a bus, no less. See these houses, they're literally hanging on the side of the hill. Seems like we're travelling on a flat surface, obviously the road is, but either side, to the right it's going higher, and to the left it's dropping off, and these houses are perched right on the edge. Now we're going along the ridge of the hill. It drops off steeply either side. Amazing scenery. Wow. There's a little church off to the left. Yeah, we're travelling really slow, almost walking pace, so I'll take it off and show you some to the side. And up there, look. Sorry, it's still pretty bumpy, so don't expect the camera to be perfect. As always, dogs. Now there's a traditional house there, look. A little sari store. Wow. Now we've got a really steep, that must be a truck there, and the windshield is reflecting. Well, you get these big boulders. We've got some of these on the property in Burgos. Look at that. And this is really steep now. Wow, look at that house perched right up there. Really is incredible how people will survive, create a life. Look, there's a tiny little house up there. Not sure, that might actually be a tiny chapel of rest. There's a well. Here's the most popular truck. We call that the multi-cab here. My friend Dean calls those Swiss Army, the Swiss Army knife of pickup trucks. The most popular pickup truck here. Now look where we are now. Now I suspect that was destroyed by the typhoon. Either that or it's a new building, maybe a new building. We're still winding up, still steep, it's still very steep. There, look. And up there, look at that. Look at that tiny little place there. I think that's actually a sari store. House there, look. Traditional. There's just so much to see. Just incredible, look. We're way up in the mountains now. Beth is absolutely fascinated with it. She can't take her eyes off. Look. Motorcycle. Only 3 people on there. Look, motorcycle. Oh, look at this. And on the back too. Amazing. There was a driver. There was 3 people facing forward, I think. I'm looking in my rearview mirror. There were 3 people facing backwards. And look, this has been carved. You can see it's been stepped. using a carabao and a hand plough. Let's let this man go through first. But it is beautiful up here. Little tiny, that's a little tiny sari store. You see the young woman walking along there. For you foreigners who are looking at these videos with an interest, look at that, look. That's a grand house and it's all landscaped and gated. And the dog at the front there has a collar of a kind. It looks like he was tied up and managed to get himself free. Well, this is a tiny little village here. But the fact is that for you guys who are looking for a partner, and you're thinking that the Philippines would bring a beautiful lady, which it no doubt will, what we're looking at here, not these grand houses, but more likely the traditional houses that I've been showing you. See, this actually, it must be quite a wealthy, relatively wealthy little community, because all the houses are nice. It's a nice road, which obviously this community and its occupants are quite a lot responsible for this road being as nice as it is and being serviced by a bus. There's a little chapel there. That's a house that was damaged. We've been seeing evidence of earthquake damage, the road badly cracked. Now that's a house that's been wrecked. So when you're looking at the Philippines, speaking again to the foreigners over there in your nice environment and nice houses and stuff, and a good infrastructure around you, you can pop down and get it. You know, if you need to do a little project, you just go down to Home Depot or Wickes, and all of the things that you need will be at hand. Not so here. Looking at what you may find a partner and the kind of living that she may have been. She may have lived high up in the mountains like this. She may have walked everywhere. Actually, this is a bad place for me to have made this comparison, because usually the houses are extremely poor. And my point was that you may find a partner and you will see the photographs of her, and then you will go on and do live video calling, and you'll see her and talk to her and see her expressions and see the way she dresses and listen to her English or not, and you have an impression of a very modern miss. So when you come over to meet your prospective partner, you may get quite a shock when you see what her heritage is. We actually took a friend of ours, Victor, and we took him to, along with his lady, and we took him and went with him to meet the parents for the first time, and we tried to help him in what would be the right protocol, what would be the meeting etiquette, if you like, and how that should be done. And that was a very modest house, a modest traditional house, and quite a surprise for Victor, I think. What we're looking at now is actually a cemetery where the dead live. And right next door, where the living live. More work going on, but you can see by the absence of parked vehicles, haven't seen too many at all, and you can see that the motorcycle is part of the way of life. You look there at that magnificent tree, hundreds of years old, and behind it what used to be a meeting place, a seated area, and here's a parking place for motorcycles. Now there is a vehicle there, a multi-cab. Well, I'm really surprised at how organised and forward-looking this mountaintop community is. And the same to you. There's the old and the new, right next to each other. The old and the new. And going up the back, see there's some tiny little houses here, and one there on stilts. And here's the barangay, the open court. We do some of our feedings at places like this. And there's a high school up the top of that road. And our friend Ronald is not telling me otherwise, so we're continuing on.